pretty good. Pretty good. Well, hello world. Welcome to Raccoon Point Studios. I'm Sean Bombs, and today we're taking a look at the SSL 360 link that works with the SSL UC1, and it allows you to control third-party plugins using a wrapper plugin, kind of like the Meta plugin back in the day when Pro Tools switched over to 64-bit, and we all were like, I can't use all my 32-bit, blah, 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 blah. Remember that? Fun times. It is right here. So basically, you see it brought up what I have mapped here, which is the LA2A by UAD. And you can see I can mess with the peak reduction and the gain and all that stuff. I have this for this button program for the power. But the cool thing is that I can still use the channel button for on and off. And this is going to bypass the whole plugin. That'll make it a lot easier, I think, in the future while I map out other plugins to have a bypass that's always the same. Instead of, oh, this plugin, where am I going to put their bypass? You know what I'm saying? So I just have that. I don't have to worry about it. You also have control over the fader here still. So you still have basically your channel strip. You can have, if you wanted to, you could still have solo and cut if you're using that function for anything. It's actually really thought out and really well done. The fact that you can have this plugin show up if you want or not. So if you go into here, let's see, you go over here and open your plugin library, and you know, the first time you open this, you'll have to scan all your plugins and it'll just scan your VST3s. And then you just find which plugin you want to work with and load that plugin. It also starts you off with anything that you have in your system that they've already done something for. So I have the Brainworks console, SSL console, that's already mapped for me. I don't have to do anything. The Harrison Fast Track and the UAD SSL. You can be up and running if you're into using the UAD SSL, which I think is great, but it does take up a lot of DSP. So, you know, maybe on critical tracks where you find it sounds better, like I do think it sounds a little bit better on kick drum. There's just a little bit more lower information in the sub frequencies on the UAD one. But then you're also able to just add whatever. The only thing is you won't know what the plugin is unless you do everything a certain way all the time. You'll get used to, I know I'm going to put an LA2A on my kick drum and the distressor on my snare drum. Not every time, but you know, I know 9 times out of 10 what I'm going to grab when I go there, right? So, you know, you'll get used to it. I think after a while I might even not have the plugin show up, because until I remember every single way I've done things, you know what I mean? It can be a little of a head scratcher. I think what SSL did in the very beginning with making it a knob per function for a specific plugin was a boss move, because I don't have to think about anything. That's why I even prefer just using the channel 2, the original channel strip that they made for this, over the other ones, because I'm used to where things are, and it's more of a utility plugin for me. You know, it's like basic sounds, getting them, and I know it's going to do good. And if I need more, then I do something else. But for an overall starting point of mix, I find that the channel strip 2 is awesome. I think the gate is amazing on here. The compressor is amazing. Everything's just, it does what I needed to do. I don't have any complaints about it. But yeah, I mean, I was using this focus, the knob for a focus on plugins. And that's cool too, because it gives you, like, if I go over here, I can still do it, right? Yeah. So the faster I go, the faster it goes. The slower I go, it does these little increments, because this is like detented. So that, you know, some people, oh, it's slower, but I find it incredibly handy when I'm fine tuning certain things, because, you know, if I take my mouse, you know, it's going to be a little bit faster. So it's not, you know, it does, you know, it has some give and everything too. But, you know, sometimes you're working, you're just trying to get things, you know, sometimes just I don't overshoot the mark, with this. But the cool thing about using the UC1 is I can go input and output at the same time, which on a distressor or an 1176 is key to hearing things without being wowed by loudness, in real time. So, let's just turn this kick off. And one other thing before I do that is I've noticed that the space bar doesn't always work when this plugin is on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's very weird. I don't know if that's a bug, my system, whatever. But play. So you can see how incredibly efficient that can be. Like I said, I would have to get used to where I put things, but and at the same time, I think after a while, I might not want the plugin to show up. I remember I had the Console 1 from Softtube, which is great. Not so great for use with Pro Tools though, but I got it because I wanted to control my UAD plugins before, but the problem was you didn't have the GUI with it. Not everything was mapped the way I would like it, and just certain things were weird. It just was weird to me. So, that was one thing I didn't like. But this gives you the plugin if you want it. You also, if you look here, you get all your information on this little screen. That's the other thing I love about this UC1 is I don't have to look at everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm right here. Here's my output. I can see everything on there. And look at how the increments are. They're perfect. I mean, this is no different than a Yukon controller to me when it comes to controlling the plugin. I had the S3 and there was problems with those knobs. Anybody who's had the S3 or anything like that knows that those encoders had some issues going on for a long time as far as like the speed and the I forget what it's called, but like the faster you would go, the faster it would go, and slower, and it wasn't quite there though. It never worked. It wasn't working very good for a while, and there's just issues. It just wasn't the greatest for a little bit, and then they fixed it. Inertia, I think it was inertia. Is that the word? Anyway, so. But over time they got that, and that works great now. But and you can map everything on those knobs now too. But I found, it just can be weird because it's just knobs at the very top, and with this I can make it make more sense because the way this is, I can, like for this, I tried it a few different ways before shooting this video and the release, obviously I made that, and then my attack I just made it above that, and my in and out. So threshold, input, same difference in a way, they're trying to do the same thing, and then your output. And then here I just made these, my audio, and you can see right here, boom boom, high pass, distortion 2, high pass, distortion, and high pass, whatever. You see what I'm saying, right? And then here again with the link. So if I don't have the plugin, I can, if I don't have the UAD plugin open, I can still see what's going on this screen, and that's really awesome, So, my first take at this is, like anything, I'll have to get used to it. But I really think it's going to come in handy, especially for dialing in these plugins, because I have the real distressors here. I'm used to, how I work with them. It's not like I try to turn 4 knobs at a time. That's just ridiculous. But the ability to just grab things, get your input and output, mess around with tack and release, you know what I mean? Like, you just have the ability to do those things and with ease. And it's incredible to do it in the computer as well now. So I find that so far I am digging that portion, and the fact that I can make a bypass here instead of having to even put that on a button every time. The only thing that I dislike is that the information from the plugins doesn't go to your EQ bar across here or your gain reduction meter down here. I'm going to keep running with this and coming up with different ways to, map everything. And I'll do a follow-up video once I have more stuff in here, if anybody's interested in seeing that. And maybe we can, dive in and get some ideas from everybody else, leave some comments how you plan on using this, how would you map certain things out and what your thoughts are, and if you don't have this, does this make you think that maybe it might be worth it now? Because it just upped the, value, I feel, tenfold, because I'm telling you, like, now that I can control a few things at once easily, that's going to make things quicker. Once I have my muscle memory and remember things, it'll take a little bit, but there's going to be certain things that I know I'm going to use all the time, and this will, be the way to do that. And certain plugins will have the same kind of parameters that I know, okay, this is always going to be this is always going to be that, and especially like my compressors and, and I'm sure I'll put like a Pultec over here somewhere and, I think that'll work just fine and all that stuff. So again, let me know what you guys think down below, and I will definitely do a follow-up when I have a lot more time with this and do more things with it. And this is just my initial first thoughts. I think it's great, and that's all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, I didn't ask to subscribe. Subscribe. Bye.